Tonight on Joy News Prime, hearing of 2020 election petition begins with NDC General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia called as the first witness.
We are in court to challenge the performance of a constitutional duty of a first respondent and to see whether that duty has been discharged faithfully. If that is so, then I'm suggesting to you that you are not, by your own showing, you are not in the right.
Stay tuned in as we bring you the details. Norton MP calls on Parliament to investigate what he describes as the punitive $150 COVID-19 test fee at the airport with a view to reducing it, saying it is undermining Ghana's efforts at fighting the pandemic.
May it not be said that this House sat idle by as a few appear to engage in supernormal profiteering at a time when many lives are being lost to this global.
This call comes even as more MPs are said to have tested positive for coronavirus, a situation the majority leader has described as alarming.
Given the upsurge in cases of COVID-19 infections and associated deaths, the Business Committee recommends that the clerk through Parliament takes steps to ensure that only essential staff of the parliamentary service report to and undertake official duties. Speaker, honorable members are also entreated to curtail visits by
Government, meanwhile, says steps have been initiated to ensure Ghana reduces its airport test fee in line with price ceilings set by ECOWAS.
The president has actually given orders that we should quickly make implementation modalities to try to see how best this can be implemented in our country. And I believe even if at least equal citizens will be able to assess.
Also in this bulletin, health facilities regulator shuts down infamous body sculpting center operated by Dr. Dominic Obing and 3 others for operating without a license.
Oh, no. You see, this is...
Every doctor must have a license to operate.
Yes.
You have a license to operate the hospital.
Yes, I have a license. I have a license as a medical doctor.
Okay, you need to show us the copy of that.
Dr. Bano.
And business prices of petroleum products expected to go up by over 2% per litre from next week, the second time in a month. There's also a wonder fruit delivering sensual gratification to patrons and economic benefits to dealers in the Ashanti region capital, Kumasi. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on GoTV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421. This is home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. Many thanks for your time. Let's begin with the Supreme Court, which on Friday afternoon struck out portions of the witness statement filed by General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. This followed objections raised by President Akufo-Addo's lawyers, who said the allegations had not been stated in John Mahamed's petition aside from being scandalous. The portions set aside include a paragraph that alleged that figures were cooked for President Akufo-Addo because his wife is related to the EC chairperson. The court set this aside, paving way for Mr. Asiedu Nketia to be cross-examined. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has a wrap of Friday's proceedings.
Proceedings on Friday commenced with Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the NDC's General Secretary, being sworn in to testify. Once that was done, lawyers for the second respondent, that is President Akufo-Addo, then raised an initial objection about portions of the witness statements that they found offensive, they found scandalous, which they said are not supported by the petition that was filed by Mr. Mahama himself. So they urged the court to expunge and set aside those portions of the witness statements. The court listened to the arguments and after that delivered its ruling. Mr. Esiedun Ketia was then cross-examined by lawyers for the Electoral Commissioner led by Justin Amenuvo, and that afterwards the cross-examination was also undertaken by Akoto Ampah, who represents President Akufo-Addo, but that truncated at a point as a result of a request that Mr. Esiedun, the court allows a video to be played, which Mr. Esiedun Ketia will be confronted with that particular video.
I suggest to you that you are wrong because the current situation is the reality. The court deals with reality, not conjecture. I'm suggesting that to you.
My Lord, the current situation cannot be the reality because nobody knows the results of the presidential elections in 2020. Nobody knows in exactitude how many votes each of the candidates got and what percentage each of the candidates got.
It is not true that the first respondent padded any votes as you allege. I am putting it to you.
My Lord, I decline that assertion.
Now, sir,
we are not in court to try to declare another presidential results by us. We are in court to challenge the performance of a constitutional duty of a first respondent and to see whether that duty has been discharged faithfully.
If that is so, then I'm suggesting to you that you are not, by your own showing, you are not in the right forum.
I decline that, my Lord.
Played out so that we can properly confront the witness with his own acts and that of the petitioner, together with leading members of his party, on the issue whether or not they declared to the Ghanaian public that petitioner had won the election.
Counsel for the second respondent wants the court to have access to the content of a prospective exhibit which has been annexed to the witness statement. As this attachment is not in evidence now, we hereby order that it should be played on the next agenda date for us to ascertain its admissibility on the grounds of relevancy.
These are persons who, after or during the course of the elections, had proclaimed to Ghanaians. In fact, the presidential candidate himself, John Dramani Mahama, the General Secretary, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, the Deputy General Secretary, Utokuno, the Director of Elections, Evisafi Ankra, and their communication officer, Sami Jemfi, had proclaimed to the whole of Ghana and the world that their presidential candidate had won the presidential elections and they had secured, some were saying 140 seats in Parliament, others were saying 141, others were mentioned that they were not even sure. And when they proclaimed that they had won the presidential elections, they gave you percentages. Don't pretend as if you didn't hear. They gave percentages. And some of them were calling the presidential candidate president-elect. I think I recall, Sami Jemfi, a communication officer, referred to Mahama as the president-elect. Some of them even urged him to form a parallel government. Now when they are being invited to the police, there's another story. They advised him to run a parallel government because they had won the elections. Now these are the same self-people who now, when come to court, cannot even tell how many votes they garnered and are asking for a rerun. Does that sit well with you? And you think it sits well with Ghanaians? No.
First, we want the unconstitutional conduct of Jean Mensah to be held to account. Secondly, we want the court to declare that none of the candidates met the threshold requirements of Article 63, Clause 3 of the Constitution. That is the crux of our case. And that is the case that we have sought to make in court today with the witness statement of the General Secretary of our party. Now, it is far from being the case that John Dramani Mahama himself must testify in this matter. He has filed a petition. He is entitled as of right under the law to call witnesses in aid of his case, and that is what he has done.
The main business of the day on Monday will be this video that will be played. Then a cross-examination that is being carried out by lawyer Kotampao also continues. Reporting for Joy News from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
And back here in the studio, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. The majority leader has described as alarming the number of MPs testing positive for coronavirus, saying the issue requires urgent attention. It follows a directive by the Speaker for MPs to submit to a screening exercise organized by the leadership. Minority Leader Haruna Idriso had asked for the nation to be made aware of the situation and remedial measures provided.
The country is worrying and gives some room for concern. We reported cases of about 62,751, active cases 3,813, with some 377 deaths. Even though we do not have the Minister for Health, the President had appointed somebody responsible for matters relating to COVID. I didn't have the opportunity to be at business committee. We may have to ask for an urgent briefing from them on what we are doing if we have to isolate, if we have to take the critical decisions that prevents an upsurge. And I thought that I should bring this matter to the fore. And Mr. Speaker, again, as the Honorable Ablakwa and Doctor observed, yes, social distancing. Yesterday, we didn't see our colleagues opposite respect the protocols. So we have a difficulty choosing between constitutional obligations and working to avoid upsurge of COVID. Mr. Speaker, you know that this parliament is 137, nothing more. Our colleague opposite should stop living in the past as if they still have comfort of numbers. At every time we will be here, we know the numbers. Technology, I agree with him. He quoted Article 104, Standing Order 109. I know that before the board, there is a matter relating to deployment of Wi-Fi and broadband technology. When the board does take a decision with it, I'm sure members can even vote from their offices or from the comfort of their home. So we need to take active decisions on it. But when one side decides that we will limit our numbers because of COVID, and we see others populate their numbers because of an essential vote, then you come here now preaching that we should respect protocols. What protocols? When there is a vote, there will be a vote. We all bear the consequences. When there is a vote, there will be a vote. We bear the consequences. Thank you.
Majority Leader Oseche Mensah Bonsu agreed to a suggestion for a formal briefing on the subject.
The issue raised by the minority leader with respect of the COVID briefing, we don't have a minister of state in place as of yet. If we agree that the caretaker person should lead the effort and bring in the technical people to brief us, and I think it will be necessary in the committee of the whole, I think that will be necessary for us, given the fact that in this house, in Parliament itself, the cases are rising. I will need to be careful and cautious so that the cases don't escalate. I think it's important that we are all cautious and take steps to protect ourselves. And those steps will be predicated on the briefings that we may further have. I think ultimately we want to make the place safer for all of us so that we are sure in our minds that what we do, which we believe would inure to the interest and benefit of the nation is not done at the peril of our own lives.
Mewa Nortong MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa on his part lamented what he described as a punitive COVID-19 test fee charged at the Kotoka International Airport, saying it is undermining the country's fight against the pandemic. Arriving passengers are currently charged $150 for an antigen-based test. Mr. Ablakwa believes this is too expensive, especially when the cost of the fee at wholesale is between $5 and $12.
Why maintain this punitive $150, which works out to some 850 cedis, when the test can be run at much lower cost elsewhere, as we have seen being carried out at Akai House? And why is the antigen test not being made more widely available? Mr. Speaker, this, if not checked, could make travel to Ghana less attractive in this era of global economic downturn. As apart from the routine airline travel cost, passengers will require an average of $350 to $600 per person, depending on where the tests are carried out, for COVID-19 testing, just to make a return journey to Ghana. For a family of 5, this would translate to some $1,750 to $3,000 just for COVID tests alone. Mr. Speaker, reports are also emerging about how some travelers are forced to collude with officials at the airport in order to beat the system due to the exorbitant charges. The Ghana Medical Association has had cause in a recent statement to draw attention to loopholes at the airport because of this phenomenon, which is leading to further importation and spread of COVID-19. This is therefore rendering the entire testing policy at the airport counterproductive and clearly putting all Ghanaians at high risk as our case numbers continue to rise sharply. Mr. Speaker, equally troubling is a regrettable fact that this $150 exorbitant charge was not brought to this House for consideration and approval, as the Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provision 2018 Act 983 demands. There are also fundamental concerns about the lack of transparency and alleged breach of due process, not limited to flagrant violations of the Health Institutions and Facilities Act 2011, Act 829, when a newly registered entity known as Frontiers Healthcare Services was awarded a contract to carry out these antigen tests. Frontiers Healthcare Services is said to be beneficially controlled from the tax haven of the island of Dominica. Civil society organizations such as Imani have publicly raised alarm about these rather opaque arrangements. Mr. Speaker, I believe the time has come for this House to carry out its constitutional mandate of oversight by investigating all these matters as a matter of urgency. It is also absolutely imperative that we initiate concrete steps to cause a drastic reduction of Ghana's antigen test cost to align with international best practice. The punitive and retrogressive cost is greatly undermining the fight against COVID-19. May it not be said that this House sat idle by, as a few appear to engage in supernormal profiteering at a time when many lives are being lost to this global health crisis. Mr. Speaker, the government has also amended its original program of offering free COVID tests, except in very limited circumstances of walk-in requests based on ill health, contact tracing, and exposure. Thus, according to a 27 January 2021 directive from the Ministry of Health, signed by Acting Chief Director Kwabena Buedu Oku Afari. And so, Mr. Speaker, virtually all the positive tests we are recording now are due to people who pay between 300 and 600 Ghana cedis to get tests done. We are thus missing a broad swath of Ghanaians who cannot afford the tests.
Health Minister Designate Kweku Agyeman-Manu says government has initiated processes to reduce the cost of the COVID-19 test fee at the Kotoka International Airport to conform with the cap placed on the cost for member states by ECOWAS for intra-regional travelers. Travelers are currently paying $150 for the mandatory test at the Kotoka International Airport as part of protocols to stem the spread of the virus. But following a decision by ECOWAS at the 58th Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government, which capped at $50 the cost of COVID-19 PCR tests, Mr. Agyemang says the administration has taken notice and already commenced processes to comply with the directive.
Indeed, my colleague from Northtown mentioned the ECOWAS protocols and the review issues that has actually capped the test at the borders to $50. The president has actually given orders that we should quickly make implementation modalities to try to see how best this can be implemented in our country. And I believe even if at least ECOWAS citizens will be able to access the test at the airport at the $50, as has been agreed by the ECOWAS community. But the $150 didn't come for nothing. Mr. Speaker, the infrastructure that was put at the airport to try to do this test efficiently was quite unparalleled around the whole world. People who were traveling across Europe and America will come and will testify to this. And all these things come at a cost. But we're taking a good look at what is now on the board, and I believe things will begin to ease up a little bit for us, and this will be looked at favorably.
On decongestion of classrooms, Mr. Agyemang announced that guidelines have been circulated to help schools to run a semblance of shift system in schools to stem the spread. He also called on private citizens to play their part to help stem the spread.
Citizens are living up to the task to support government efforts and government initiatives. Mr. Speaker, I know, and this was announced and they made a press by the Ghana Education Service, close to about 23 million face masks have been ordered to be supplied, and distribution is ongoing. In some places we have served adequately, in some places, like my colleague said, things are yet to get there. But we have triggered monitoring to follow up to make sure that every district has got what has been allocated to them based on the population of children. And I like what my colleague, the honorable member from is it Chibi or Wapasaf, Honorable Atacha, said that we should also play voluntary roles as parents and citizens to complement the efforts that government is actually making. Mr. Speaker, there are arrangements for classrooms to be decongested, and these guidelines have gone out. Teachers have been trained, said that in classes where we have large numbers, they will break them into two and begin to run some semblance of a shift system so that we don't actually congregate these students against the protocols that we have actually initiated.
The Appointments Committee of Parliament will commence vetting of President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees from Wednesday, February 10. According to the ranking member of the committee, Haruna Idrisu, priority will be given to the scrutiny of some nominees, including the Minister-designate for Health, due to the situation with COVID-19 in the country. Haruna Idrisu says the Minister-designate may be the first to be vetted, followed by the Ministers-designate for National Security and Finance. Speaking on the floor of the House Friday, the minority leader said the committee is inviting memoranda from the public on the nominees as stipulated by the Constitution ahead of the vetting process.
Chairman of the Appointments Committee, First Deputy Speaker, is not here. So on his behalf and on our collective behalf, the Appointments Committee have met, and we are requesting for public memoranda in respect of all the President's appointees to the various ministerial positions. We are expected to commence vetting or scrutiny of the President ministers on the 10th of February. Priority will be given, I have not had time to brief the majority leader, priority will be given to some ministers, particularly health, because of the COVID situation in the country. And probably he would be the first minister to be considered by our committee, followed by those other ministers of national security and finance. Now, Speaker, our clerk is working to get the publications to all the media houses.
We're still live on Journeys Prime. We'll take a break. We'll be bringing you business shortly with Charles Aite.
Good evening. It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The prices of petroleum products are expected to witness some marginal increment from next week. Now, this is based on data secured from bulk distributors of the products and Joy Business's projection. George Rafi has more in this report.
The increment has been influenced by rising prices of finished petroleum products on the international market. This has resulted in cuts in production by the oil-producing countries and projection that COVID-19 could soon be contained following the discovery of vaccines. Based on the data secured from industry players in Ghana and Joy Business's projection, a litre of petrol should be increased by at least 2.14% per litre. It should mean that a litre will ramp up to about 5 Ghana cedis, 20 pesos. For those who might be interested in a gallon, well, that should be sold at 23 Ghana cedis, 40 pesos. On the other hand, diesel should also be increased by almost 3% per litre, selling at 5 Ghana cedis, 23 pesos. The development may lead to a gallon also going for 23 Ghana cedis, 53 pesos. Now, these are just averages, and there's the likelihood that it may be more than what we've projected from next week. This is because the last time the prices were adjusted, we projected about 3%. However, when it came to the actual review by the oil firms, it went way above that. This may not be one of those projections because the increase in prices is actually what the bulk oil distribution companies are willing to sell to the oil marketing companies from this weekend. So unless the more than 100 oil marketing companies absorb these new prices, then consumers will definitely be paying more from next week. The expected margin of increase has also crossed the 10% mark set by the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. That should also trigger discussions for transport fares to be increased.
Now, Ghana's public debt stock shot up by 12.8 billion cedis in October and November last year to hit 286.9 billion cedis in November 2020. That's according to the latest Bank of Ghana's summary of economic and financial data. We have more in this report. The rising debt, which is a worry, represents 74.4% of gross domestic product, that is the total value of goods and services produced in an economy within a period. When this loan is shared among 30 million Ghanaians, each one is likely to pay very substantial amounts. The increased debt was largely driven by COVID-19 spending in a form of stimulus packages to individual households and businesses, particularly small and medium-scale enterprises that suffered significantly from the coronavirus pandemic. The nation may get some relief in the repayment of some of the loans, particularly bilateral and multilateral loans. Many countries, including some advanced economies, had no option but to borrow from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to stabilize their economies. According to the data from the Bank of Ghana, the external component of the debt stood at 139.6 billion cedis, whilst the domestic component was, however, estimated at 147.3 billion cedis. On the other hand, the financial sector resolution bond still remained unchanged at 15.4 billion cedis. The International Monetary Fund had earlier forecast a 76.7% of debt to GDP ratio for the country in 2020. Rating agency Fitch also said in December that African countries, including Ghana, that have credit ratings of B and stable outlook will not default in repayment of their loans despite the rising debt levels. Now, the Bank of Ghana has begun advanced work towards the establishment of the National Development Bank in the course of the year. The central bank is therefore inviting bids to develop directives and prudential guidelines, among others, for the development of the financial institution. Charles Nixon has more in this report.
The ministry has already received some $200 million from the World Bank towards the cost of the development finance project, which supports the establishment of the Development Bank Ghana. This is under the Development Finance Institutions Bill. The bill received parliamentary approval in August last year and is awaiting presidential assent to ensure that DFIs are efficiently managed with minimal risk of failure. The government decided that the Bank of Ghana should regulate and supervise the DFIs. This decision was informed by the experiences of other countries in which effective regulation and supervision by independent regulatory bodies have contributed to the success of development finance institutions. The objective of the development of directives and prudential guidance by the consultant is to complement the work by the central bank. The consultant is required to consider international standards and best practices as well as mandatory policies and manuals prescribed by the Bank of Ghana. With regard to the business plan for the partial credit guarantee facility, the consultant is to come out with a plan to mitigate risk of lending to certain borrowers and market segments, particularly SMEs and first-time borrowers. Overall, the Development Bank Ghana is expected to provide wholesale loans and guarantees to participating financial institutions for on-lending to micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises.
Well, that'll be all for business for this segment. Coming up next is sports with Gary L. Smith. To stay.
Let's come down to Ghana, where the Premier League has entered match day 11. Great games to expect this weekend. But before then, today the match day started. 3 p.m. kickoff was between Bechem United, who have gone top of the table, and that was after they beat 11 Wonders by 3-1. Now the Hunters, as Bechem United are called, came from a goal down to beat their original rivals at the Nana Fosu Giaboa Park in Bechem this afternoon. Now, the main incident happened getting to the end of the game. And we have pictures on the Joy Sports Twitter. This is not the police and thief like we used to play back in our childhood. This is the coach of Bechem United being jostled at the park. Now, what's the story? Apparently, he was not happy with the officiating by the assistant ref, and he had a verbal go. He insulted the assistant ref, who also reciprocated. They insulted each other's parents. And at the end of the match, he decided to take matters into his own hands. The coach tried to attack the assistant ref. Let's go back on the pictures. And the police decided that not today. This is not going to happen here. And so, well, yeah, there they are trying to control him as well. And this has started the Ghana Premier League on a very explosive note. Now, to give some context, Bechem were leading for a long time 1-0, and then just getting to the end, 11 Wonders were leading for a long time by 1-0, and just getting to the end, Bechem won by 3-1. So clearly the coach was angry. But there are 8 more games remaining on this match day, and includes 3 local derbies. Joy Sports Asarabedi Aku has been looking ahead to what should be an exciting Ghana Premier League weekend.
Ella will be looking to consolidate second spot in the Ghana Premier League when they clash with Mediama in the Enzima Derby. The home side, who have won just 2 of their last 5 games, will be seeking to earn the bragging rights at the expense of their original neighbours, who have had a stuttering start to the season. But Samuel Boedu's Mediama will be relishing grinding out results away from home. In another regional derby, Ash Gold welcomed Kotoko to the Lenclay Stadium in Obuasi. The Porcupine Warriors missed out on an opportunity to go top of the table after losing 1-0 to Indiana Stars in a Week 10 encounter. Top striker Kwame Poku is expected to lead Kotoko's charge as they seek to secure all 3 points. Hearts of Folk and Great Olympics will fan the flames of their ageless rivalry. The two teams go head-to-head in search of maximum points at the Accra Sports Stadium. The Daddy Boys are without head coach Anna Walker, but his replacement, Yao Preko, will be up to task when he comes up against Costa Papic, the Serbian coach who has turned the fortunes of the Continental Club Masters. In other Week 11 games, King Faisal will be at home to Brecum Chelsea. Indiana Stars welcome Ebusuan Dwarfs to the Nana Ajimambedi Park in Doma. Elmina Sharks will play against Dreams FC at the Indium Stadium. Interlice clash with Legon Cities, and in Sogakope, Wafa Lockhorns with Liberty Professionals.
You can get updates of these on that Twitter account I showed you earlier, Joy Sports GH. And there'll be live commentary of the Manchester Derby, Hearts versus Olympics at 6 p.m. on Joy 99.7 FM and Love FM in Kumasi as well. There'll be games also in this weekend's match day in the Women's Premier League. Here are the fixtures in the Northern Zone. Fabulous Ladies play Ampim Dakoa Ladies. That should be cracking. Prisons Ladies play Northern Ladies. Kumasi Sports Academy hosts Ashtown Ladies. And the Pia Ladies play Supreme Ladies. In the Southern Zone, Police Ladies play Soccer Intellectuals. Berry Ladies play Sea Lions. Hazakis Ladies take on Thunder Queens, and Lady Strikers host Immigrations Ladies. And that's the sport for the moment. I'll be back on the other side of 8 with more. I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you for your time. News continues.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. To the rest of our stories. A security task force in Kumasi has arrested nearly 200 people for failing to wear face masks in public. Upon the arrest, the suspects were compelled to buy and don the face mask before being transported to the police station. Ashanti Regional Deputy Police Commander DCOP David Ajiman tells Joy News the recalcitrant suspects were granted bail after their statements were taken. Ohimenteria has more in the following report.
Among those arrested are traders, head porters and motorists who, at the time of the arrest, had no face mask on. They were arrested at various locations in the region in an operation coordinated by divisional police commanders. Some of the suspects engaged in a banter with members of the task force after the arrest, claiming they had their face mask in their pockets. They see the action of the police as an attack orchestrated to inconvenience them. But the police insist the suspects flouted the legislative instruments on wearing of face masks. DCOP David Ajiman Ajem is the Ashanti Regional Deputy Commander.
Because of our normal duties, we've had to rely on our partners from the security services, the Ghana National Fire Service, and the Ghana Prison Service. So we have a task force made up of the three institutions going around and enforcing the directive. As at this morning, we had arrested a total of almost 200 persons. That's about 198 or so. And what we do is that we take statements of these persons and release them on bail. At the appropriate time, if we need, then there's a need to send them to court, we will do that. On the site, as they are arrested, they are made to get themselves face masks. So we ensure that each one of them is in face mask before we bring them.
The police want the public to accept the exercise in good faith to help protect all against COVID-19.
There's this misconception that the police are only harassing people. But of course, we all know what COVID is doing to all of us as a nation. And so my simple advice is that this is a war between Ghana and COVID. So The police and the public are on one side against the disease, and we should ensure that we fight it as best as we can in our own ways. We are supposed to ensure that people adhere to the presidential directives, and that is what we will do.
There has been an upsurge in COVID-19 cases in the region. Public compliance with safety protocols remains critical to halt the spread of the disease. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohime Interior reporting.
From the Ashanti region to the northern region, where the police command has deployed men to guard the Tamale Driving Vehicle Licensing Authority after its staff were allegedly threatened by a pro-MPP group, the Kandahar Boys. The group is said to have stormed the offices of the DVLA Friday morning, demanding that it be closed down, chasing out the staff. It is unclear what their intentions were, but the Northern Region Police Commander, COP Timothy Sabonga, said the incident has been reported to the police and investigations underway. Northern Region correspondent Martina Bugari has more in the following report.
This is not the first time party boys have taken over an institution in the northern region. The Kandahar Boys in the past sacked the chief executive officer of the Tamale Teaching Hospital from his office, sacked staff of the Ghana Highways Authority from their office, and also the Savannah as a related development authority, among other institutions. Speaking to Joy News, the Northern Regional Police Commander COP Timothy Sabonga, who led the team to the DVLA, said they were told it is the Kandahar Boys, adding that they are yet to identify any member of the group for arrest and prosecution.
When the officer, the director of the DVLA, Northern Region, he first called that some youth came here, asking them to leave their offices, that they will not allow them work. So when he called, I asked whether they will see around. He said they have left. So I asked him to quickly come to my office to take the complaint, and I will bring my men to provide them security to do their work. So he came to the office. We have taken the complaint to investigate and get those people possibly arrested. And we are here with them. We have asked all the officers to go in and do their work. We have provided them the necessary security to do their work. Mentioned Kandahar. Allegedly mentioned that the boys alleged the Kandahar boys. But as I said, we haven't arrested any of them. He's not able to tell us it is Mr. A, Mr. B. So all these are allegations, and it will be proven when we get them arrested.
Thank you, sir.
He said if in the past groups had taken over institutions, that has not come to his attention, adding that this will be nipped in the bud.
The thing is, as they have reported, if they are able to identify and give us release to get them arrested, that is when we will make sure that they are put before the law courts. But if they are not also able to identify them specifically for us to get them arrested, we only have to provide the necessary security for them to work. If that's happened in the past, I cannot best tell on that. But what we are saying now is that we are taking this seriously, and we will do our best with their support. If they are able to identify, we get them arrested and put them before court for it to serve as a deterrent to whoever have that kind of mind to misbehave or to take the law into his own hands. We want to nip it in the bud and want to make sure that that impunity is stopped forever. We are not going to tolerate this kind of impunity.
COP Sabonga said the focus of the police for now is to provide the authority with security so that they can get back to work.
From the director, he couldn't give us any reason why they are asking him to leave. So we will now investigate and do. And we are praying that if they are able to identify some of them and we make an arrest, then they will tell us why they want them to leave. But as for now, our interest is to provide them the security to do their work, which we have just done. So we'll be here with them to do their work. And they are doing their work.
talk about health because 2 people are currently assisting police investigations into illegal operations of some health facilities in Accra. One of them, controversial body sculptor Dr. Dominic Obeng Ando, is answering questions for running the Obengfo Hospital without a license from the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA. His facility is among 4 shut down by HEFRA. The regulator says the move is part of efforts to sanitize Ghana's health system and ensure compliance to standards. My colleague Manuel Kranteng was embedded in the operation and now reports.
No. You see, this is
every doctor must have a license to operate.
Yes.
You have a license to operate the hospital.
Yes, I have a license. I have a license as a medical doctor.
Okay, no, but show us a copy of that.
Dr. Bano, I presented
scenes at the Advanced Body Sculpt Center Friday morning as owner of the facility in an attempt to resist the shutdown of the facility. The center, also known as Obengfo Hospital, was one of 4 facilities which were closed down by HEFRA after it was established that they were being operated without the necessary licenses. But this will not go without a fight from the owners of the facility.
Please.
All right.
So we have followed up. Yes, we have followed up with no, we have it.
I'll give you a couple more minutes.
No, we have it.
License.
Please, we have it. We have it.
If you do, then let them bring it. Yes, in a couple of minutes, I'll have to close the place.
Dr. Bano.
Yes, I need to see the license.
No, Dr. Bano.
Yes.
Dr. Bano. Are you saying that we have not followed up?
That's not. We are not here to ask.
No. You see, this is.
Every doctor must have a license to operate.
Let me have to know. All the clinics in Ghana, including all the private clinics, all the pharmacies, okay, are required, okay, in the new dispensation, okay, to regularize the operations with the HEFRA. We already had an existing license. This clinic has been operating for the past 20 years.
The Medical and Dental Council had in 2019 disclosed that Dr. Obeng Ando was not certified to practice in Ghana and warned the public to be wary of visiting the facility. Now, after more than a year and several unsuccessful attempts to get the Obengfo Hospital licensed, the HEFRA team, led by its registrar, Dr. Philip Bano, locked up the facility.
HEFRA, when I review his chart, at least better than 4 or 5 years. That is when a HEFRA. And during all that time, he only had a license for a very short time, about 3 or 4 months. And it was issued to a doctor that he used to work with to operate, and it was a provisional license. And then one thing after another, and like all the things we just saw in the tricks, and so on and so forth. When the substantive case was in court, but a bit of my surprise is that they did not make a reference to HEFRA to see what information we have on him, because we would have disclosed that he was never licensed. But somehow my interpretation of what happened was that he was able to somehow convince them that since HEFRA came to inspect, since he paid for registration, they may have taken it as having a license, but he never earned a license.
The other 3 facilities affected in the operation included Grace Imaging Center at Tantra Hills, China Recovery Clinic at Achimota, and Susan Clinic at Letabiokoshi, which has been operating for more than 20 years. In all, 2 people, Dr. Obeng Ando and Jenu Baby, an Indian radiologist at the Grace Imaging Center, were picked up to assist the police with investigations. HEFRA says this operation will be rolled out across the entire country to weed out criminal elements within Ghana's healthcare delivery system.
As COVID-19 continues to ravage the world, here in Ghana and some tropical regions in the world, a group of infectious diseases is quietly killing thousands and rendering populations unproductive. These are the neglected tropical diseases painful, dehumanizing and deadly diseases. Although medications for neglected tropical diseases in Ghana are not expensive, most Ghanaians living in deprived communities continue to suffer till they are killed by them. As the world marks Neglected Tropical Diseases Day, the Ghana Health Service is asking Ghanaians to face NTDs and end it. Judith Awotritando has more in the following report.
Living with leprosy can be very depressing. Being one of the neglected tropical diseases, ignorance about it has pushed many victims to suffer stigma and humiliation in society. Mrs. Mary Amuzu had to go through such a painful experience when leprosy started eating up her skin layer after layer. Mary says her days with leprosy were the worst moments in her life.
Oh, it's a lot of so difficult things, because if you are going somewhere, even your children, they don't want to near you, because how you are now, they don't want to be in that problem, so they don't want to near you. So it's too difficult for me. Some time before I got treatment from Ankafor.
Mary was lucky to have received treatment and subsequently got cured of the disease. Nonetheless, many in her condition would rather seek help at churches or from herbalists. On the World Day for Neglected Tropical Diseases, the ambassador for NTD, Mrs. Joyce Aye, explains ignorance is a major problem for people infected with such diseases.
People get some diseases because of ignorance or because of resources. In fact, ignorance is the basic problem. Because if you're going through something and you think that it is the witch in the next village or the witch in your village who's causing the problems, then you won't even seek attention. But when you have knowledge, and you know, for example, that Buruli ulcer is caused by a bacteria, you have to ask yourself, now what do I do to avoid the bacteria? A lot more sanitation is required.
She further expressed frustration over the poor, unhygienic and unsanitary conditions seen in most rural communities in Ghana where NTDs thrive the most.
Being poor does not mean you should be dirty. I think we need to get it out of our minds. Poverty does not mean being unhygienic. You know, like defecating anywhere. That does not show that, I mean, you may not have a toilet. But I know that in our villages, we used to dig the ground before defecating in it and then covering it with soil. What happened? Why are we now openly doing it? Because we think we are poor. So we need to get back to even some of our own traditional habits of hygiene so that we can eliminate some of these things.
Cleanliness and proper medical treatment are the only ways to curb the spread of neglected tropical diseases like elephantiasis, river blindness, and others. This is why the Ghana Health Service is urging people to face NTDs and end the neglect. Judith Awotritando for Joy News.
An average of 4 petitions are received every week by the Ghana Bar Association from the public on alleged misconduct by some legal practitioners in the Ashanti region. The association says it has had to refer some of the cases to the General Legal Counsel for further investigations. This was disclosed at the maiden induction ceremony of first-year professional law students at the Ghana School of Law in Kumasi. Prince Apia has more in this report.
Having been admitted to the Ghana School of Law.
A total of 171 students were inducted into the Ghana School of Law to undertake the professional law course at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Ashanti Regional Vice President of the Ghana Bar Association, Maria Louise Simmons, expressed worry at the spate of public complaints against legal practitioners.
Indeed, as the Vice President of the Ashanti Bar, my secretary is here, he can bail me out. We've had numerous petitions weekly on the average about 4 petitions a week against various lawyers who, in one way or the other, are alleged to be duping, defrauding their clients, some even driving their clients' vehicles, taking clients' wives and all that. I'm serious about it. Yes, Nana is here. He can bail me out. And we know as the Bar Association, we may not have the mandate legally to punish anybody for that. But what we have done as the Ashanti Bar is to take up some of these petitions from the clients, invite the lawyer involved, and try and settle matters before it gets to the General Legal Council. But of course, as we always think we are as lawyers, some of them will come and plead lack of jurisdiction. Come and tell you that we don't have any power or mandate to settle my issue. And we give in, and the petitions will then have to go to the General Legal Council. And when it does, most of the time, we know what happens.
She advised inducted students of the Ghana School of Law to desist from practices that impinge the profession.
Last year, we've had the Legal Professions, Professional Conduct and Etiquette Rules 2020. And that should tell us how serious the General Legal Council is now. And so as we are students of law, we should be very careful how we behave. The kind of advice you give. Somebody will come to you at church and say, lawyer, I have this problem and that. I think you should be humble enough sometimes, if you don't know, to say, I'm not yet a lawyer, but I'll find out from the relevant bodies and authorities or persons and let you know.
The acting director of the Ghana School of Law, Maxwell Opokwajima, reiterated the importance of integrity in the legal profession.
The fruits of the legal profession, which you aspire to join, is hard work, integrity, moral uprightness, honesty, respect for the bench.
Supervising High Court Judge in the Ashanti region, Justice Kofi Akuruwa advised the students to eschew acts that would dent the image of the law profession.
He must endeavor to pursue the attributes of justice and truth for their own sake, regardless of reward. The students are therefore advised to be interested in the rule of law and the sustenance of democracy in the society.
Prince Apia reporting.
Gorontola is a wonder fruit said to have great aphrodisiac properties, appears to be emerging as a favorite of the many who desire to have fulfilling intimacy with their partners. The wonder fruit, which is proving to be quite a phenomenon in the garden city of Kumasi while driving people crazy, is bringing real economic relief to those selling it. Love FM's Mona Lisa Frimpong has been exploring the multiple benefits of Gorontola and has more in the following report.
Known to many, the Gorontola is considered a miracle fruit by those who know its health benefits. Botanically known as Azanza gakiana, the Gorontola, as it is called in Hausa, is mostly found in the northern part of Nigeria.
This is Gorontola, popularly referred to as the miracle fruit. You know, you can chew raw or after extracting the seed. Also, you can soak the fruit in a small amount of water to make a paste-like jelly. You know, when it's soft, it is very easier to chew. Others also prefer to make it in this paste form, as I have indicated. They add honey to make it sweet. They can add it to their yogurts, porridges, and pap.
The Research Journal of Medicinal Plants reveals the fruit contains medicinal properties. It is purported to increase fertility in females and boost men's libido. A lady writes, "Please, do you still have some of the fruits? Charlie, it works, Papa. My white is gone. My libido was rising while in the office. This fruit is Please, I want 4 packs of the 30 cedis. Another says, "I don't remember the last time I had any discharge or itching since I started with the Gorontola. Previously, the infection was constant, but now I have so much relief."
She said, "Ever since I started using the Gorontola, he has been all over me. I don't even have a breathing space." Another lady wrote, "Hey, your Gorontola syrup is bomb. Hobby was all over me, asking me what I've been using. Oh, come and see promises and confessional. Please, when you restock the fruit, let me know. I want to get both. This time around, I must get my new shop.
Hajara Omar is a Gorontola dealer at Aija in Kumasi. She has been in the business for the past 5 years. Married couples and the youth are her regular customers.
Because you want to be one and what's away, Eddie Jukunu. And the young girls are no more motor. So we won't talk and be better man. In China, I feel coaching my lamania dear so by say, who you be a when you move here, and I only say brain pain set. Into Weno, ever warm once and say, obeying set. Mamma to say, my ultimate now and out to check come.
Before the upsurge in demand, the fruit was cheap on the market. The price of the fruit has shot up from 5 cedis before the start of the year to 10 cedis. The rush for the fruit has made it scarce.
Sana obia nhuni value adia eye. But so obia nim say we are ebua oba bua bema. And na face is first na nka say cry 5 cedis. What you say? By saying no boy answer ne benya kra de abro no easy.
Though there are positive reviews on Gorontola, Ghanaian scientists I contacted say they are yet to conduct research on it. Before then, Ghanaians should expect a continuous increase in the prices of the miracle fruit. Reporting for Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong, Kumasi.
Gorontola craze. Now, the courts are usually a place for serious business, especially the Supreme Court, which deals with very high-profile cases that are of national importance. Though cameras and recording devices are hardly ever allowed into the courts, on those rare occasions where they are allowed, humanity is blessed with some light moments which last a lifetime. Actual hearing of the 2020 election petition began Friday, and already a few of those light moments have been served.
The time the petitioner filed this petition, he knew the results from the Techiman South constituency, not so?
My Lord, I'm not the petitioner.
Okay, we'll leave it.
Appears your calculator is not 1, 2, 9.
It's order in court.
We are ready to collaborate with the registry to provide the necessary facilities, if need be. Very well.
Thank you for your unsolicited assistance.
Those were some light moments from the election petition. We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll bring you the second part of business with Charles Aite.
Hello, you're welcome to business. Now, the Chartered Institute of Insurers is making a strong case for the inclusion of the pension sector and health insurance in the computation of insurance penetration in the country. According to the institute, these absence makes the sector much more viable when it comes to their contribution to GDP. And of course, the new president of the CIIG, Teria Ben Ahmed, has been speaking to Joy Business of the insurance penetration rate that currently stands at about 1.1%.
We've got some, if you like, fragmented regulatory environment in Ghana where the life insurance and general insurance is regulated by the National Insurance Commission. And then you have health insurance, is regulated by the National Health Insurance Authority. And then you have pensions, regulated by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. Now, let me give you this scenario to appreciate the conversation well. If you have a professional accountant who is a member of a professional accountant body, and he works with a professional body like a professional accounting body like PwC, KPMG, EY, Deloitte, and things like that. It's a professional accountant working with a professional accounting body. That's a professional accountant, right? That same professional accountant working with a bank is still a professional accountant. That same professional accountant working with an insurance company is still a professional accountant. And they are all expected to be part of the professional accounting body, which body then ensures that their professional accounting practices are consistent with their code of ethics and the professional standards that are expected of them. What the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana is doing, which is a professional body and not a regulator of insurance-based entities, is seeking to do is to make sure that all individual professional insurers who practice either in the NIC regulated entities or in the NHIA regulated entities or in the MPI regulated entities are brought to be part of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana membership, so that we can contribute to their continuous professional development and be able to have a say in their professional practice. Now, when we do that, then as a professional body, we will then be able to redefine insurance penetration in Ghana. The insurance penetration in Ghana has traditionally been seen as what the National Insurance Commission will come up with, which is made up of only the contribution of life insurance and general insurance. And because of the fragmented regulatory environment, the National Insurance Commission cannot report on the numbers of the health sector because that is under the National Health Insurance Authority. The National Insurance Commission cannot also report on the pension sector numbers because that is also under the MPRA. And by the way, the MPRA has got its own annual reporting issues. But we as Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana, and we are the professionals of insurance practicing in these sectors, and some even practicing outside of NIC and outside of NHIA and outside of MPRA, are still professional insurers, and we need to find them and make sure they do things right. But when we now reach out to our colleagues in the health and pension sector, we will then be able to redefine insurance penetration in Ghana and then report on a consolidated view of insurance penetration in Ghana in the CRG annual journal. And what this will mean is that we'll take the NIC numbers and penetration, we'll get the NHIA numbers, and then we'll get the MPRA numbers. The last check, the pension sector had about 25 billion in assets. The NHIA is sitting approximately around 800,000, close to a billion. The NIC is sitting at currently 2019 with 3.5 billion in premiums. Okay, so if you put these together, insurance penetration should be better than what is in the market as approximately 1.1%. And that is really where we are going.
Well, a cashew trade and exporters company in the Bono region says the inability of farmers to dry the cashew seeds well affects its quality and pricing. The field manager of Red River Foods Ghana, Senor Joseph, attributes the situation to competition that leads to the selling of wet cashew nuts. Let's listen to him.
Industry is so complicated, and the type of competition is making people move after farmers. So once farmers are being chased to sell their product, they also find it difficult to sell the product dry. So they end up selling it wet. But what it means is that in the beginning, farmers feel like they are making profit because they are selling the wet product. But at the end of the day, because the quality depreciates very quickly, it affects the nut and the quality that we are getting from Ghana, and that's one of the things why the price keeps fluctuating. When you have a 50 lbs quality in, let's say, May or June, you'll be able to sell it at a higher price as compared to a 40 lbs or 45. Cashew is being procured based on quality, and if you have a very good quality, then you stand the chance of earning a premium price. I will not push the blame to farmers, because if all buyers are looking for dry cashew nut, then they will be compelled to dry it before they sell. So we are calling on the Trade Crop Development Authority to come out with regulations that will also allow buying companies and agents to make sure they are buying something which is only dry. Just like in cocoa, you cannot go and buy wet cocoa beans from a farmer because the industry is being regulated. And these are some of the things we are actually looking after. The price of cashew to most people is not stable. And these are some of the things we think should be worked on.
Customers of banks are being urged to resort to mobile transactions. Now, this is to ensure that there is minimal human contact to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The head of business at Cal Bank says that her outfit, for instance, has put in place various measures to make its digital platform efficient for use.
COVID-19, social distancing, all of these protocols. Digital is key. So the future in this digital space is about us trying to reduce contacts for our customers. So anything that our customers will normally want to come to the bank branch to perform, we need to ensure that they are able to perform these things by themselves and on their own without necessarily visiting a bank branch. So we will move on that path and deploy solutions that will make it easier for customers. So if you talk about digital path, that is where we are going. And the bank has put in place systems to be able to accommodate all of these things. So we are already set up to roll.
Great. Now talk to me about how secure this particular app is.
Okay, so when it comes to security, looking at the functions the app performs, security is very key. We have the transfers, we have the merchant payments. Without security, it will be more or less like it will be a useless app because we are given an app that is not secure. We have a multi-factor authentication method in place, and when we say multi-factor authentication, we are referring to ways in which users are able to confirm their transactions. So we use what the user knows, and most often when we say what you know, we are referring to your password, your PIN. We have another what you have. When we say what you have, is something that's only you will have access to. So a token is sent to you for each transaction that you perform. So that's something that you have to confirm. And then we also talk about what you are as a human being, so your biometric features. So this allows you to be the only one who is able to authenticate a transaction. So with all of these in place, you can see that the app is very secured. Yes.
Now, the cost of iron rods have gone up by 50%, and building contractors are also complaining about the low quality of these iron rods. Nana Kwame Hayford is a project engineer at Cass Valley Properties at Oyibi in the Greater Accra region and has been speaking to Odelia and Tiamom on the show Brick and Mortar.
Yes, prices of material has recently gone up, and it's so astronomical that people are finding it difficult to continue their project, especially when we take the iron rod, for instance. In a span of 3 months, from November to now, it's close to 50%. And it has made a lot of people in the construction industry are set aback as to whether to continue their project or to hold on. If the prices will come down, then they continue.
Run us through from November.
Yes.
What was the cost of iron rods in November per ton?
Yes.
And as of now, what's the price?
Yes, in November, a ton was going for 3,500 cedis. And now, as we speak, it's 5,200 cedis, which is representing a price difference of close to 50%.
Yes.
That's 1,700 thereabout.
Yes.
And it's making people who use, we are more into conventional kinds of building, which use the blocks, the cement, the iron rod and all that. So it's difficult really controlling. So it has made some of the real estate people even a big problem for them to continue constructing for their clients. And some that are doing it reducing their gains. That because once you've signed a contract with somebody to build, it means that if it's gone up he or she has already committed.
Yeah.
So it means that you, the company, would have to find ways and means to go.
Yeah.
And the disadvantage of this is that if you don't have a credible construction company, they will start cutting corners to still have the appreciable gains to the detriment of the client.
And you may want to catch the show this Saturday on Joy Prime channel at 4 p.m. That's it by way of business. Sport is up next with Gary L. Smith this day.
The Premier League, they and the English Football Association will begin trial periods for concussion substitutes at the start of February. And there's more in this following report.
2 permanent substitutions can be made in the event of head injuries, even if all replacements have already been used. Opposition teams will also be able to make an additional normal substitution at the time of their choice. The first match of the trial is scheduled to be played at 12:30 GMT kickoff between Aston Villa and Arsenal. It will run until the end of the 2020-21 season, but can be extended into the 2021-22 campaign. The Premier League will be the first league in men's football to introduce concussion substitutions, having formally approved the trial during a shareholders meeting last week. FIFA, football's world governing body, will also trial substitutions for actual or suspected concussion at the Club World Cup in Qatar, which starts on 4th February, though teams will only be able to make 1 substitution per match. The International Football Association Board, the body that makes and approves the laws of football, approved the trials of concussion substitutions at the meeting in December. There have been growing calls for their introduction amid concerns over links between head injuries in football and dementia. England 1966 World Cup winners Nobby Stiles and Jack Charlton, who both died last year, had dementia, while Sir Bobby Charlton's family recently revealed he had been diagnosed with the disease. Former Tottenham Hotspur's defender Jan Vertonghen explained in December how he had felt the effects of concussion he sustained playing for Spurs for the following 9 months.
Still in England, let's check out what the fixtures look like. Of course, there's the big one, Arsenal versus Manchester United. That will be tomorrow at 5:30, but there are also some interesting games, choicey ones. Everton, Newcastle, Palace hosting Wolverhampton Wanderers, City playing Sheffield, West Brom playing Fulham, and Southampton hosting Aston Villa. And on Sunday, there's Chelsea, Burnley, Leicester, Leeds, West Ham, Liverpool, and Brighton hosting Spurs. Elsewhere in Spain, Real Valladolid and Huesca is tonight. Update on Fan Zone later with Hans Mensah. Then tomorrow, there's Eibar versus Sevilla, Real Madrid versus Levante, Valencia versus Elche, and Villarreal versus Real Sociedad. Sunday sees Getafe host Alaves, Cadiz play league leaders Atleti, Granada play Celta, and Barca play Athletic Bilbao, The Serie A, Torino, Fiorentina, Bologna, AC Milan, Sampdoria, Juventus, Inter Milan, Benevento. And on Sunday, Spezia, Udinese, Atalanta, Lazio, Cagliari, Sassuolo, Crotone, Genoa, Napoli, Parma, Roma, Hellas Verona completes the set. And that's it for this week's sport. Thank you for your time. I'm Gary L. Smith. The news continues shortly, but on social media, follow everything that's going on in Ghana and across the world through our various social media handles. You take care and have a good weekend.
And as I wrap up the bulletin tonight, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com and you have all the updates. Enjoy the rest of our programs.